I think one of the primary limitations that I face was just having a dissertation committee. I didn't feel hands-on. It took me over 2 years to complete my dissertation once the prospectus was approved. Overall, I just didn't feel they were supportive, and there was a lot of learning and figuring it out and researching that I had to do on my own. And so for me, that was one of the biggest challenges because I had never done it before.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Anand Pari. I support graduate students around the world with thesis coaching and academic editing, bringing structure, clarity, and momentum to their research journey. Today, I have Casey Mokers. She was a PhD student at Walden University, specializing in public health. As she completed her program this year, she's taking a moment to reflect her thesis journey and how our collaboration has helped things move forward. Casey, thank you so much for joining and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Perhaps can I start with some questions if you're okay with that?
Sure. Yeah.
Generally ask this first question, like, did you face any challenges when you began writing your thesis? Any parts that felt more confusing or kind of overwhelming for you?
What I think one of the primary limitations I face was just having a dissertation committee that I didn't feel was like hands-on.
Hmm.
Overall, it took me 2 years to complete my dissertation once the prospectus was approved. But overall, I just didn't feel like they were supportive, and there was a lot of learning and figuring out and researching that I had to do on my own. So for me, that was one of the biggest challenges because I had never done it before. And also the fact that I hadn't built any sort of face-to-face rapport with my dissertation committee prior to beginning the process.
There is always this sort of counter argument where they say, well, PhD students have to figure things out by yourself. We don't kind of always help you. So I personally have felt this as an excuse for busy professors to avoid the PhDs or graduate students and give less attention, even the committee members sometimes. So what's your take on this?
I think there was variation depending on who you're paired with, really.
Mm, mm,
And I
makes
think that's
sense.
part of the reason why I sought out a writing coach and an editor to have more access to someone who was going to be there for me to answer my questions in a timely manner.
Mm, mm.
Because time is the essence when you're trying to finish.
Yeah, makes sense. That was my other question. So what made you reach out for thesis support, which you already answered? So at the time that you reached out, what kind of help you were hoping at that time, sort of thesis or writing coach support?
So, honestly, it wasn't really on my radar until I was transitioning to the dissertation phase. One of my colleagues' supervisors had used a writing coach, and one of my patients' friend had also used a writing coach. So it was just timing, the guidance that I needed at the time, um, and that's when I started, researching where I could find one.
Would make sense. So question to you would be, how did the support help you, especially in terms of bringing more clarity, structure, confidence, progress? Was there a moment that you felt things started becoming more clearer for you?
Everything started becoming clearer as soon as I hired you. When I first was reaching out, it was just in the phase of there's this whole template that I should be using for my dissertation, and it needs to have everything in here, right? My dissertation committee didn't provide that to me, right? So I was searching through the university website, found that, and then I had already roughly written my literature review. And so essentially hiring you helped me conceptualize the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, from the moment I hired you, things got easier, started progressing faster.
So what's your advice for students who do full-time PhD, have a family, a job? How do you suggest them in terms of prioritizing?
For me, and thinking about working with you, what was super helpful was just scheduling deliverables.
Hmm.
So I think having that awareness of scheduling your time.
Yeah, it's more of like an accountability partner to some extent, right? Asking the right questions. So I think that was very helpful for me too.
Yeah.
Casey, if you were to do this over again, which I hope not, how do you think you would have done this differently?
So throughout my PhD process, my program was interdisciplinary, public health. So there was people from different fields. I was able to start researching and writing papers on what I thought I wanted to do my dissertation on. So I was able to get this global idea about what I wanted to do. But if I were to do it over again, I would have hired you, let you know, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing my dissertation on. What do you think? Where could this go? Can you help me narrow down my research question and research problem? So if I were to do anything different, I would have hired a writing coach. I would have hired you sooner, even when I was still completing my coursework.
And my last question would be, what advice would you give to other students considering thesis support?
I think the most essential thing that you can do is hire somebody that's PhD level, that has gone through the experience, carried other people through the experience, particularly when you don't have a connection or support from your dissertation committee. Hiring you made it very doable. And each phase of the process, I could see I'm getting an ROI. Every time I had a meeting with you, every time you sent something back, I was like, okay, I'm making progress.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Casey. It was absolutely a pleasure working with you.
Well, thank you so much again. I really appreciate everything you helped me with. Bye.